Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course I'm joined by Dan Dix of pressfortruth.ca. And first of all, thank you for joining us here in Acapulco, Dan.
My pleasure, Josh.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk about some very pertinent issues in Canada right now, because we've all seen footage recently of Ezra Levant being interrogated for his book on Trudeau. There's been multiple attempts to squash independent media with a bailout on media, $600 million, I believe it was, and then moving forward, the digital charter, which basically laid out what is okay and what's not okay, and obviously the Prime Minister deciding which medias can interview him and what questions they're going to ask him. This has been going on for a long time. I wanted to ask you about the future of free speech in Canada, because it doesn't appear there is any at the moment. What do you think?
Well, I think as long as Canadians continue to be under the rule of the feminist trans rights activist Justin Trudeau, who is, giving out grants to certain media organizations that are handpicked by the Liberal government, I mean, we're never going to have true freedom in the country, right? So he's really controlling the narrative on the news front moving forward. He's attempting to, I guess you could say, monopolize the industry behind the scenes sort of thing. Honestly, like, it's been progressively getting worse, but this thing that happened to Ezra last week or whatever was really the icing on the cake. That was like, wow, they're really getting to the extent now that they're sending these stooges, these government stooges to interrogate people about their, basic free speech. I mean, it's just unreal how bad it's getting.
It looked like the Gestapo, essentially. He's writing a book against the Prime Minister, and you have people that come to your door and demand answers about it and interrogate you about it. And on top of that, the recent, I think it was a heritage minister who went on CTV and made a claim that there might be a media license in the future on medias. I mean, this is getting to the point of almost Stalinist. I mean, we might not see the camps yet, but we're seeing the crackdown on free speech to almost the extent that we were starting to see it at the beginning of the Stalinist regime. And it's really crazy to me that so few are doing anything about it, because this is growing extremely fast. I mean, a few years ago it was bad too, but it's gone so over the top in the last few years. It's like past Orwell at this point.
Yeah. The days when you have to register with the government to publish a book, or you have to obtain some sort of a license just to speak your mind or to comment on newsworthy issues, is the day that you've completely lost all your freedom in a country. And like you said, you're moving into more of a dictatorship type of relationship. And again, this is something that we absolutely need to push back against before it gets too bad, because this has been an incremental push. They couldn't have just done this overnight. People would have recognized that, hey, wait a minute, they're kind of like, pushing their own narrative here. So it's been an incremental move. I mean, channels like yours have been pointing these things out over the years, but it's progressively getting worse and worse and worse. It's shocking and terrible, and it has to be changed.
Well, it says a lot about who's in fear of who. I mean, you have to come to a certain point where you realize that the government is starting to get more afraid of the people, and the reason for that being is that information is getting out at a greater scale. It's the age of information, after all, and people have access to more information. They're more suspicious of the government. They're wondering what's next, what Trudeau might do next, what the government in general might do next, and I think that is something that's a big fear for them. That's why they're censoring independent media, all that kind of stuff, and I think that almost tells us that we're succeeding in some way. But I wanted to ask you what you think are some of the solutions going forward to this issue, because I mean, it's really hard to free people from the chains they revere in Canada, especially Canada. I mean, you see that in most countries, but in Canada it just seems like not everyone, but a lot of people, the majority of people, are completely complacent with this insanity. What are some of the solutions?
Well, as a free market enthusiast, I'm not the type of guy to say that we should put any kind of restrictions on the MSM or even YouTube or anything like that. I would rather make them obsolete by doing a better job. So I think what's important to do is to lead by example and just do a better job than the mainstream media, and hopefully people will recognize that. On top of that, we really have to start to look towards these companies and these businesses that are popping up left, right, and center these days that are all about protecting your free speech and are not all about not censoring you. We need to, as I often say, diversify our video sharing platform portfolio into a number of different areas. And right now, we're in a time when there's all kinds of amazing technology. Blockchain tech is coming into the space, and there's an opportunity to break the chains of this control. So right now, I'm kind of focusing on getting into these other platforms like the Float.app, PocketNet.app, DTube, STEEMIT, Minds, BitChute. There's a bunch of them, and I'm kind of trying to spread my eggs, so to speak, in many baskets these days. Not to have them all in one basket, because as we've seen, like they did to Alex Jones, they flipped the switch on that guy, and he's gone. He's in a corner of the internet now. So we have to ensure that that's not going to happen to us. So we really have to diversify.
Yeah, we warned about what would happen to Alex Jones for a long time. We knew it was going to eventually happen. I mean, eventually we're spreading so much information, we're actually reaching so many people that we were actual competitors against the mainstream media. We're not right now. We're kind of in a tough place right now. I have optimism for the future, but I mean, for a long time, we were actually starting to surpass the mainstream media and as informative sources, and that tells you exactly everything you need to know about how scared the establishment must have been that people were actually spreading the truth, and people were actually relating to the truth enough that they wanted to go out of their way and watch that instead of watching their evening news. It's a desperation game. They're losing, but they're winning for the time being because they're actually able to censor us with algorithm and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's a winning game long term for them. Truth always wins. Good always wins over evil eventually, and we have to work as hard as we can to make sure that comes to fruition. Anyway, as we close this off, Dan, let everyone know where they can go if they somehow don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty sure everyone knows, but go.
Well, hey, if there's new viewers, I'm sure you get new subscribers all the time. Check me out at pressfortruth.ca. Press for Truth on YouTube is the YouTube channel, and in the description of all my videos are going to be links to these alternative platforms that you really ought to get on as a hedge against this censorship moving forward. Follow me on all of these different platforms if you're not already, and subscribe to YouTube while you still can.
Disobey, good people. Live free, live by example, and don't fall for the same old tricks of collectivism that we're seeing in Canada, United States, Britain, everywhere else. You have to break those chains. No one's going to do it for you. So start with yourself. Press like on the video, share it around, help with the reach because we're shadow banned and all that kind of stuff. Check the links below, and I appreciate you joining us today, Dan. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson with Dan Dix signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change. Like what you see here, Wham! Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely appreciated as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we could defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on float.app, that's flote.app, at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, W-A-M. Float.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Float and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.